Hi students, today I am going to explain the lesson chapter 6 in biology, life processes. So what is life and what are the processes which are going on to undergo the life happily. So we know that there are living things and non-living things. So when we see how we will know that it is alive or it is a living thing, we know that when we are seeing, we will see whether it is breathing or not, it is moving or not, yes, no. So if we see a dog running or a cow chewing cud or a man shouting loudly on the street, we know these are all living things. So and what if the dog or the cow or the man was asleep? When they are full asleep means deeply slept, then we may think they are not alive. We still think they are alive. How we'll know? We'll check first breathing. It is they are breathing, and we all know that if they are breathing, they are alive. Then what about in plants? They will not move. We cannot find out whether they are respiring or not. How means if we see if they are green, then we can say it is alive. Yes, no. But what about the plants having leaves of colors other than green? Then they grow over time. So after some time, they will be growing. Yes, no, for some time, and they will show some sort of movement, or whether it is a growth related or to show whether it is alive. So all these changes, if we see, we can say then it is alive. But if it is not visible movements are not there, then we can think it is not living. No, we can say it is living, though the invisible movements are there, means which we cannot see with our eye. For example, we say respiration, but the process we can see, digestion we can see. Yes, no, so many processes, life process we cannot see, but it is happening in the life, in our body. So for example, in this invisible molecular movement necessary for life, so there are so many invisible movements of molecule will be happening. Is they are important? Yes, it is important. For example, viruses do not show any molecular movement. We only know when they infect us, we'll get some disease, so we can think our body has some virus, like that. Right? Yes, no. That is partly why there is a controversy about whether they are truly alive or not. Again, there is controversy. So first, whatever are the life processes which are going on in our body or in a body of organisms, then we can say it is living. Yes, no. So why are molecular movements needed for life? We already said in the earlier cases, we have a well organized structure. We have cells. Cells are combined to form tissues. Tissues are combined to form organs into organ systems. So at all the organ systems are working to form an organism. So the cells are very, very small components present in our cell, and because of the environment, it will be changing. It will affect by the environment. So it may break down for over a time, or it will no longer be living. So they'll be keeping on repairing and maintaining the structures so that molecule structures to form a molecule structure. That's why moving of molecules is very necessary to repair this and maintain our body. Yes, no. So maintenance process. So what are this maintenance process? So in living organisms, so many maintaining processes are required. So the maintaining functions of living organisms must go on even when we don't know that, in particular when we are sleeping also, or when we are not doing anything, but also we are just sitting. At that time also, so many life processes will be going on. So what are these life process? Let's see. So since this maintenance process are needed to prevent damage and breakdown, and energy is needed to them. So I already told this maintenance process are needed for what? To maintain our body when it is broke down, or to prevent the damage, and for doing all this it wants energy. So from where the energy will come? We have to take energy. So it will come from outside of the individual organisms, and so there must be a process to get this outside food into us and converting into energy. So there must be a process to transfer a source of energy from outside the body to the organisms. So if it is a very simple organism, then it is very easy process. It just take the food, engulf the food and digest. But in case of a complex organisms, what happens? So much of body structure is needed, so much process should be carried out. Yes, no? So there must be a process to transfer a source of energy from outside the body to the organism. If the body size of the organism is to grow, then additional raw materials also be needed from outside. So since life on earth depends on carbon based molecules, most of our foods are carbon based. So depending on the complexity of these carbons, different organisms want different kinds of nutritional processes. So what are the outside sources of energy? It will be very different since the environment is under the control of us. No. So because the external environment is not under our control, and the sources of energy, so therefore need to be broken down or build up in the body. So whatever we are eating, that should be broken down and converted in our body. So in which form? So that the form which is useful to us. So and must finally converted to uniform source of energy. So that can be used for various molecular movements for maintaining our living structure as well as the kind of molecules that is needed to grow our body. So for this, a series of chemical reactions will be taking in, like oxidation, reduction reactions and common chemical means to break down the molecules. And for this, many organisms will use oxygen sourced from outside the body. So in order to carry out all these reactions, they will use oxygen. So at last we can tell what is nutrition, the process of acquiring oxygen from outside the body, and this oxygen is used in the process of breakdown of food. Sources for cellular needs is called respiration. So what is respiration? Just acquiring oxygen, taking oxygen. So for what oxygen is used? To break the food for our needs. It is called respiration. And what is nutrition? Taking the food and converting it into simple type so that it will be sent to all the parts of the body. So we have seen how in multicellular organisms various body parts are specialized in the function they perform. We are familiar with the specialized tissues also. Yes, no. So it is therefore not surprising that the uptake of oxygen, food will be the function of the specialized tissue. So however, this poses a problem. Since the food and oxygen are now taken up at one place in the body, while all the parts of the body needed. So oxygen will be taken by lungs. Food is by digestive system, stomach. So but all the parts want this. How they will do? They will be transported. This situation creates a need for transportation to carry the food, oxygen from one place to another. So when chemical reactions use the carbon source and the oxygen for energy generation and they create byproducts, so all this will be done in our body and some unused products will be made. So the waste products in this process are formed and they have to be removed from the body, and that process is called excretion. Yes, again, if the basic rule for design in multicellular organisms are followed, again a special tissue is there for excretion. For transportation, one special system is there. From this we can tell a special system is there for nutrition. So a special system is there for respiration. A special system is there for excretion. A special system is there for transportation, etc. Then, so here the questions are again, why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements of multicellular organisms like humans? So in simple organisms like amoeba, only unicellular organisms, diffusion is enough. What is diffusion? Movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. That is enough. The oxygen will be more in the atmosphere and it is less in the organism. It just diffuses. But in multicellular organisms, it is not possible. It wants more oxygen, more energy. So it is not possible. That's why a definite structure, specialized tissues, specialized organs are needed for this. And what criteria do do we use to decide whether something is alive? Already told. So all the life process which are going on in our body, whether we can see it or cannot see it, this tells whether something is alive. So what are the outside raw materials used by an organism? What are they? Food, oxygen, and what are the outside raw materials used by an organism? It may be food, oxygen, and water. Then, what process would you consider essential for maintaining life? I already told what are the process, life process, nutrition, respiration, digestion. Sorry, digestion is same. Nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion. It's no. So, all these are the important life process. Now, we'll see what is nutrition. So, what is nutrition? I already told. So, we want energy. So, this energy is required to maintain our body. It's not to develop, to grow, for all these. So, from where energy will get? The source of energy is from the food we eat. So, how the living things get the food? So, general requirement for energy and materials is common in all the organisms. Some use simple food materials obtained from inorganic sources in the form of carbon dioxide and water. So, like autotrophs, like green plants. So, they will take carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and from all these, they will prepare their own food containing carbohydrates. So, they are called autotrophs or autotrophic. It is called autotrophic nutrition. So, what are the products formed after the photosynthesis process? Energy in the form of starch and oxygen released and water. Then, because they prepare their own food, they are called autotrophic nutrition. Auto means automatically, they will only. Trophic means food. So then, in other organisms, they will depend on in heterotrophic nutrition, the other animals will depend on the plants for their food. Here the complex substances are taken. They should be broken into simple ones to use for the growth of the body. And for this, so many enzymes, they are called biocatalysts, are used directly or indirectly. So these enzymes are used for making this reaction. So heterotroph survival directly or indirectly depends on autotrophs only. Examples of heterotrophs are animals and fungi. Then, so I told autotrophic nutrition. So photosynthesis process takes place. How? Carbon dioxide and water is taken in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. It is converted into glucose, oxygen, and water. So, then, how the photosynthesis process take place and what are the events occurring during this process? First, the light energy, sunlight, will be absorbed by the chlorophyll pigment. So, green pigment, and it will convert the light energy into chemical energy, so that by splitting a water molecule. So, it will split the water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. It will break. Then, carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrates. Like this, these three steps will take place, and these steps, it will not take place in the same order maybe. So, for example, desert plants take up carbon dioxide at night and it will keep as intermediate, and in the morning it will use it for the photosynthesis process. So, if we carefully observe a cross section of leaf, so under a microscope, you will see some cells contain green dots. Yes, no? So, they are called chloroplasts, which contain chlorophyll. So they gave one activity here. So, take a potted plant with variegated leaves. For example, money plant we can take, or crotons. So, we have to keep it in dark room for 3 days, and so that all the starch it prepared will get used up. Then keep the plant in sunlight for about 6 hours. So, we pluck the leaf from a plant and make the green areas in it and trace them on a sheet of paper. Dip the leaf in boiling water for a few minutes. After this, in alcohol, and carefully place the above beaker in a water bath and heat till the alcohol begins to boil. So, what happens to the color of leaf? So, now dip the leaf in iodine solution so that we'll find out the color spots. Take out the leaf and rinse off the iodine solution. We will see the color of the leaf tracing like this. So, presence of starch, because we kept 6 hours in the sunlight, little starch is produced. So, variegated leaf before and after starch test. Then, So we know that carbon dioxide, it will take while photosynthesis process, where so in the leaves there will be having pores, a very small pores on the surface of the leaves. So they are called stomata. So when it is open like this, when it is closed, it will be having two guard cells. It will open when when the oxygen gaseous exchange takes place, carbon dioxide and oxygen exchanges, and when it is not doing, it will close. So massive amount of gaseous exchange takes place through these pores only during photosynthesis. So but it is important to note this exchange of gases across the stems, roots and leaves as well as take place, and also large amount of water also will be lost through stomata. So the plant, so that's why it closes the pore when it don't need carbon dioxide or it is not doing photosynthesis. So this opening and closing is a function of guard cells. The guard cells swells, water flows into them. So and the stomata open to pore, open, the stomatal pore open. And similarly, if it shrinks, the guard cells will close. Like this, it is there. Next, they give one activity. So take two healthy potted plants of same size and keep it in 3 days for dark room. And now place each plant on a separate glass plates. Place a watch glass containing potassium hydroxide. Why? Because potassium hydroxide will take off all the carbon dioxide. So now cover with bell jars or a cover sheet with a sheet and just seal it and keep the plants in sunlight. What happens? Presence of a leaf from each plant. You have to take one leaf and see the stretch which is having carbon dioxide. There stretch we can see which is having potassium hydroxide in this glass. So carbon dioxide is removed. So no photosynthesis takes place. So from this we can tell carbon dioxide is very necessary for photosynthesis process. And then so like this autotroph plants, with the help of all this, it will prepare food. So they also want other materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, magnesium, which is taken up from soil. So nitrogen is very essential to make up proteins and other compounds. So this is taken in the form of some inorganic nitrates or nitrites, or so organic compounds have been prepared by bacteria. Some bacteria, they will prepare the nitrates or nitrates from the atmospheric nitrogen. Then what about heterotrophic nutrition? So in this, these are animals will not prepare their own food. So they will depend on the other plants and animals for their food. They are heterotrophic organisms. So we'll see first amoeba, how it will do. Amoeba is a single celled organism. So it is a shapeless. It will be changing its shape regularly. So whenever the food particles will come near, so what happens? It will develop a false leg-like structures called pseudopodia. So from this it will trap the food particles and it will go inside. Like this, it will digest inside it. So like this, the nutrition in amoeba can be explained. In even paramecium, which is also a unicellular organisms, cell has a definite shape. We know that paramecium is a slipper shaped body and it will also have a specific spot. From there, food is moved to this spot by means of some cilia. Cilia are the hair-like structures present in paramecium. So which will be covering full surface. Like this, the paramecium's nutrition we can be explained. Now we'll explain in human beings how it is taking. So the alimentary canal is basically a long tube. So if you see, alimentary canal is a long tube extending from mouth to the anus. So from mouth to the anus. So there are different parts and different regions which will function differently. Let's discuss first. When we eat, various types of foods has to pass through the same digestive tract. Naturally, the food has to be processed to generate particles which are small and same texture. So all the food particles which should become very small and which should have same structure. First, the food is crushed in the teeth so that the inner lining of the canal is soft, because we have salivary glands in the mouth. Saliva will be released and this saliva will mixes with the food and it forms like bolus. So this saliva contain an enzyme called salivary amylase, so salivary amylase, which will break down the starch present in the food into simple sugars. Then after chewing and it is made into a paste, it will move into the esophagus. It is also called food pipe. Here no digestion will take place in the esophagus, only because of peristaltic movement. So it will move from mouth to the stomach. This only will just transfer the food from mouth to the stomach. So stomach is a large organ. It can expand. So the muscles of the stomach contain so many digestive glands. So it will secrete digestive juices. Then the digestion is taken care by these gastric glands, and some hydrochloric acid is released. So what is the purpose of hydrochloric acid? It will make the food acidic medium, and also it will allow the enzyme pepsin to work on that. And it also have a mucus lining the stomach, so that from this acid that will be protected. So like this, the food is partially digested in the stomach. Then from stomach it will go into the small intestine, where full digestion takes place. In the small intestine, slowly from the stomach, the food will be carried to the small intestine, which is a long thin structure, and so many secretions from pancreas, liver will be go into the small intestine, where the full digestion takes place. So the exit of food from the stomach to the small intestine is regulated by a sphincter muscle. So it will allow the food slowly to pass from stomach to the small intestine. It is a very long part of the alimentary canal. Small intestine is a long part and in very small space. So from in the small intestine, the small intestine is arranged in that compact space by coiling, supercoiling. So the length of the small intestine differs in different animals. In herbivores, it will be longer than in meat-eating animals, which have shorter small intestine. So in this small intestine, it is the complete digestion takes place. Like carbohydrates will be converted into simple glucose, proteins into amino acids, fats into fatty acids and glycerols. Like this it will be converted. Here in the liver and the pancreas, which are nearby, they will also produce the secretions and send to it. So bile juice will be produced from the liver, and pancreatic juice will be produced from the pancreas. This bile juice, what it will do, it will break down the smaller globules, means fat oil droplets. So by enzymatic action into so how the emulsification action of soaps will takes to remove the dirt, like this, the oil particles will also be emulsified here. Then pancreas will release pancreatic juice. It also contain enzymes like trypsin, so for digesting the protein, and lipase for breakdown of fats. So the walls of the small intestine secrete some intestinal juices. With all these enzymes, finally the food is converted into proteins, into amino acids, complex carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. So here the digested food, which should be absorbed. So the inner lining of the small intestine has so many finger-like projections called villi. Why this villi is needed? Because it will increase the surface area for absorption. So these villi are connected with so many blood vessels, so that the absorbed food will reach to each and every cell, so that the energy obtained should be used by all the body parts for their growth or building up new tissues and repairing of old tissues, all this. Then what happens to the fate of unabsorbed food or undigested food? It will go into the large intestine. So it will absorb whatever is the extra water is there from this, it will be absorbed, and the rest of the material is removed through anus with the anal sphincter. So this waste will be stored for some time in the rectum. So like this we can explain the human alimentary canal or digestive system. Here are the questions. What are the difference between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition? So autotrophic nutrition means the like green plants which will prepare their own food by a process called photosynthesis, and heterotrophic nutrition means all the animals, fungi, etc. depend on plants or other animals for their food. That is heterotrophic nutrition. Where do plants get each of the raw materials required for photosynthesis? What are the raw materials required for photosynthesis? We know carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and what it wants, sunlight. We know that sunlight will come, and water, it will come from the roots. Water is there, it will be transported. So like this, all the raw materials it can find out. Then what is the role of acid in our stomach? I already told, in the stomach hydrochloric acid is produced. What is its function? Means it will make the food acidic medium, so that the enzyme pepsin will act on it, and the food is also digested because of this acid, and also all the bacteria will be killed by this acid. Then what are the functions of digestive enzymes? So many functions are there of the digestive enzymes. So we know that digestive enzymes, like so many digestive enzymes will be there. It will convert the complex carbohydrates into glucose, fats into fatty acids and glycerols, and proteins into amino acids. Like pepsin, it will be pepsin will do. So pepsin will break the protein molecules, whereas trypsin and trypsin, it will also digest the proteins, and lipase, it will emulsify the fats. Like this will act. How is the small intestine designed to absorb digested food? The small intestine is designed so that it is having so many finger-like projections called villi. This villi, what it will do, it will increase the surface area for absorption, so that all the more energy, more food will be absorbed, and it is connected with blood vessels, so that it will reach to all the body parts. Like this it is designed. So if you like, text me so that I can continue the lesson. Thank you.